So delightful.
Mm.
Everything you do is delightful.
Oh, you're so sweet.
It's a Married with Channels podcast. Hi, I'm Moose.
I'm Jody.
Hi, we're married.
We are.
We just got married about 15 years ago.
15?
2007, this is 23, so 16.
Coming up on
16.
Yeah.
God, really? You going to hold me to that?
No.
15 in a couple months?
Sure.
There we go.
You got it.
Seems like yesterday.
Does it?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
It doesn't feel like 15.
No.
No, I don't think so.
Does it feel like 150?
I think you still look as young as you did when we got married.
Aww.
I'm not even blowing smoke. Like,
Aww.
I don't see you aging. Like, even if I see a little gray in your hair, it doesn't really register.
Aww.
And it's not like I'm in denial or I'm superimposing some other chick on you. But you do look young.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. Thanks.
Still look like a young spring hottie.
Aw, thank you, love. That's so sweet. You're still just as handsome.
Thank you. And if you were ever killed by a Linda Cardellini in a car with James Marsden in a Mustang, I would be devastated.
Oh, yes. Same.
That's called a segue, people. As we're talking about Dead to Me,
Yeah.
the Netflix show. The final episodes is what the poster touted for the third season.
Yeah.
And this is the show that I think when it started, people were kind of talking about it, but then people stopped talking about it. But the show continued 3 seasons and arguably 3 very filled, tight 3 seasons. You know, I don't know if there's any wasted space there.
Yeah. There's no kind of slow, like, oh, that was dragging out too long or anything like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know the concept, and I should know the episode, but we've covered Dead to Me before on previous episodes of Married with Channels. So you can go back and check out our initial impressions. They'll probably line up with our final impressions as it aired its final season. This tightly wound mom widow forms a relationship with a free-spirited, we'll say wavy gravy type of lady. And she's got a dark secret. And, you know, but basically she killed the widow's husband.
Yeah, she accidentally hits him with her car.
And that's oversimplifying it dramatically because there's a lot of stuff in there, nuances and but they become fast friends, and you know, it basically ends with Linda Cardellini's character fighting cancer and ultimately succumbing. But it's just one of those things, like a very good show about friendship. There's obviously some drama and trauma, but how things aren't pretty. Friendships aren't pretty. They're complicated.
Yeah, I would say that general theme is there. Friendship, forgiveness is kind of in there.
Sure.
You know, complex relationships and kind of how people are intertwined, you know?
Yeah. And it was very well done. You know, each episode's about a half hour, so it's an easy, thing to chew on. Don't have to pull aside 2 hours every night or whatever.
Sure.
But the only thing that kind of bothered me, excuse me, is the lead detective was not, I don't understand how she became so sympathetic to Christina Applegate's character.
Yeah.
So, to the point where she was like helping her hide her crimes, you know?
Yeah.
It didn't really, and maybe I'm missing a moment, but it didn't jibe with her character, at least when she was introduced. She's a by the book, ball breaking, hard nosed cop, detective. And it didn't really jibe that she would be helping out this, middle class mom hide a body,
Yeah.
So that I didn't really understand that.
Kind of her motivation to turn. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I thought the show was good.
I thought it was good. I thought, there's some funny, lighthearted moments in there. It was a good character thing. Sometimes for me, it got a little bit cheesy. In moments, there was a little bit like, oh, come on, really?
Sometimes,
this is a little ridiculous,
Yeah.
But there was always that element of like, are they going to get caught? Is this person going to get caught for what they did? Or are they going to think it's this person? There's always kind of that element of surprise kind of there. But
And there was a little bit of soap opera moments,
Yeah.
like the whole dead guy's brother, his twin brother.
Yes.
That's so General Hospital-ish.
Yes, totally.
And, I'll forgive him for that, but it just kind of felt like, well, we got James Marsden and we can't just have him for 3 episodes.
Sure.
So let's make the twin. It worked. It's fine.
Yeah.
But and sometimes I get a little annoyed with the teenage son
Yes.
of Jen.
Yeah.
Christina Applegate's character. He was annoying, but maybe that's how teenage boys are.
I don't know. She would say, "I'm sorry, Charlie's a dick."
Yeah. About her own son.
Yeah.
When you watch stuff like this and other shows, movies where there's a teenage character that's being just a major asshole,
Mm-hmm.
do you think of because our kids in about a year or two getting into the teenage years, do you
Yeah.
get a little worried? Do you get a little like, ooh, is it going to be like that?
I don't.
Am I going to be calling my kid a dick?
Time will tell.
Right.
I don't get worried when I watch fictional characters. I get worried when I see the tween sass going on. Like, oh
Yeah.
boy, how's this gonna go in a few years?
Yeah,
That probably scares me more.
I see that stuff and I get a little worried.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We shall see. But Dead to Me, 3 seasons. I recommend it.
Yeah.
I think people should check it out.
Absolutely.
I found myself, kind of laughing at moments, and it had a good cast. I think it was one of Ed Asner's last roles before he passed.
Yeah.
He's always a delight.
Yep.
And there was some laughing, some crying. I know the last episode, when she's driving in that Mustang, Jen is,
Mm-hmm.
and they show Judy in the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
Theoretically, Judy just died, and then they cut back to Jen. Then they cut to the wide shot, and Judy's not there anymore. So she was obviously, talking to herself,
Mm-hmm.
a la the ghost of Judy.
Sure.
But that was kind of,
Yeah, I got a little teared up with the paper crane scene, just seeing all those.
yeah.
And she made some kind of comment like, I think she's here,
Yeah.
Like, oh, like little signs from the universe that person is still kind of with you. It was just really sweet.
And I like how they brought it back at the end, kind of how it started with the support group.
Yeah, the grief support
The
group.
grief support
that was
group.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jen's there with her newborn daughter.
There's a bunch of spoilers, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll put that in the notes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they ended it well.
Yeah.
It was a good ride.
Yep.
Easy peasy done.
Yeah, and they didn't drag it out too long.
Right.
That was just about right for the story and the storylines and the characters and their kind of stuff,
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. So Dead to Me.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix.
Check
it is a
it
recommend.
out. Yeah.
Check it out now. And now we move on to something from overseas and Ricky Gervais. This is a show that I've seen a couple clips on Twitter, maybe YouTube, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. Like, I'll play a clip from Afterlife. This is, I think, the very first episode. I should set up the show, though. He is a widower. There's a lot of widowing.
Yes, there
going
is
on
here.
today.
Yeah.
It's the widow episode.
I guess we don't watch all sad TV, but here you go.
No, but he is a widower. His wife recently passed from cancer. He is suicidal, has really no inclination to deal with people and put up with people and society anymore. So he's just going to say whatever.
Mhm.
He's going to call people out for their bullshit.
Mhm.
Like there's a couple scenes where coworkers, he says like, you look like Shrek, you eat like a fat slob or something like that, you know. And in one scene, he's walking by a playground, a school, and his nephew George is there, and then this other kid, and mind you, Ricky Gervais's character Tony is just walking by. He's not instigating any trouble with the kids or flipping anybody off, but this little plump red-haired kid yells something at him.
Pedo!
What?
Pedo!
I'm not a pedo, and if I was, you'd be safe, you tubby little ginger cunt.
Pedo being a pedophile.
Oh, my.
So there's an example of, like, the character. He doesn't care. He's going to say what he wants. Not going to put up with bullshit. And much like Dead to Me, it it has its heartwarming moments, like especially when he goes to visit his dead wife's grave.
Yeah.
And he's connected with this widow who visits her husband's grave,
Mm-hmm.
and they form a friendship, and the travails of life after grief,
Absolutely.
life after death, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And how you kind of move through that process.
Yeah.
You know?
And I get the feeling Afterlife is basically just, and it's written and directed by Ricky Gervais. It's just a way for him to just say wild shit
Yeah.
and justify it because, well, that's what the character would say.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
we know Ricky Gervais likes to
Yeah.
say what he wants.
Sure.
But,
yeah, I would kind of agree with that. Like, this is an outlet for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of Afterlife, Jody?
I like it too. I like the nice, sweet, tender moments. His wife had recorded messages for him.
Yeah.
And I like, that was really heartwarming and nice. And then, the funny is in there. And then, he also has life challenges that kind of come along, not just his grief, over her death. There are other things too. He starts to kind of get close to people, and then one of them passes. And so, life kind of goes on for everybody. And, he's kind of stuck in his own bubble of pain.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's kind of nice to see him kind of see other humans and what they're carrying around too,
I think it was profound for him when he started doing drugs with Julian.
Yes.
He's an addict who is supposed to deliver the newspapers that he works for out to, wherever they go. But he just ends up throwing them away and using the money to buy drugs. But anyway, Tony, being somebody who doesn't care, is like, yeah, here's $40. Buy me some crack.
Mm-hmm.
I want to smoke some crack.
Yeah.
And, ends up getting high with him a couple times. And this Julian character, how I put this, wants to like just have the big, fat, huge high.
Well, he's grieving as well.
Yeah.
He lost someone close to him as well. They're both going through kind of a similar journey with grief and loss. So
yeah, and Tony gives him enough money to buy a shitload of drugs.
Yeah.
And Julian ends up overdosing. And I think that affected Tony because, that's him. And also he maybe feels a little guilt.
Yeah.
Like maybe he went a step too far in I can do what I want, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Because I gave this guy money to buy all these drugs and he used that money to buy the drugs,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, overdosing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's like enabling to the 100th degree.
Absolutely.
So it seems like he kind of pivots a little bit, maybe has a new realization of things.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see where season 2 goes.
Yeah.
I believe there's only 2 seasons of this show, maybe 3.
Yeah, because I think this season ends with him kind of coming out of a deep, dark well of despair.
Yeah.
And maybe you start to see little signs of life again.
Yeah.
And maybe hope,
Yeah,
And,
he's starting to come back to life.
yeah. Yep. So, and, I'm sure there's setbacks along the way, as there is with anyone's grief journey and going through all that process. And there will always be things that you bump up against with that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. And I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. This was really sad for me at times. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of picture this man who truly loved his wife. They had a great marriage, a great relationship, and, a great life together. And so it gets kind of sad and heavy sometimes for me to see
I know.
that struggle,
It
know?
makes you think of, losing the person you love.
Yeah.
And if Becky died on me, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I deal with feelings with humor.
Yes.
No.
Just got too real for you, didn't it?
No, we all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the lady to my left.
Oh.
But it makes you think about things. Maybe have an appreciation for your loved one, your significant other, more so than you normally do. But
Yeah, and his wife, when she records those messages for him, it's kind of directions, little directives for him for after she's gone. What she wants him to do with his life going forward without her. And I just think that's so sweet and sad at the same time. And probably took courage for her to say some of those things, and
And we're leaving out the part about his father.
Mm.
It's not a huge part of the show, but I can definitely relate.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to visit his father, who's obviously in the throes of dementia, Alzheimer's. I think he
Yes.
said Alzheimer's, didn't he?
I think so, yes.
Which I'm dealing with my dad. And boy, I know, like, those visits, are pretty spot on.
Yeah.
You go and you try and talk to and granted, it depends on what stage of Alzheimer's, but
Mm-hmm.
it seems like my dad and his dad are in pretty close
Progression of
of the
Yeah.
disease. And
Mhm.
it's so that's obviously something I can latch on to,
yeah.
but I wonder if that'll also come into play in the second season because he's starting to get back into life. He asked the one nurse out on a date. They seem
Mhm.
to be hitting it off. So you gotta feel like, okay, some shoe's going to drop.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it'll be his dad.
Sure.
And that'll bring him back into a hopelessness.
Well, and you can probably speak to this too, but losing someone to that disease is a constant state of grief. It's like they're not dead, but they're not them. So you're grieving the loss of what you once had with that person, always.
Yeah,
And every once in a while, you get a little kernel of who they used to be. Every once in a while, they have a memory or they know who you are or, fill in the blank. So it's just like enough to kind of almost start grief all over again every time.
Yeah. It very much is. It is an ongoing grieving process. And I've talked to other people who've gone through this, and they have validated that feeling as a loved one whose parent, whatever's going through Alzheimer's, that it's okay to feel like I would almost feel relieved when they die.
Yeah.
Because that grief will be we can
Final.
put a cap on
Over.
it and now I can process it finally.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an ongoing thing. And I wonder how that will play into the show, if at all. When his father passes, which I'm guessing he will
Mm-hmm.
before the show's done shooting,
Mm-hmm.
will he be relieved or will it send him deeper into
Yeah.
some grief? And, one way's not right or more right than the other.
Sure.
We'll just see.
Yeah. So sad shows, lots of
I know,
grief
I was just
topics.
It's the happy-go-lucky widower episode.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
Is there any bright side we can bring up here? Like kernel of smile?
I mean,
We're watching Below Deck Sailing Yacht.
yeah, our guilty pleasure. How about that? Yeah, we are all in on the Below Deck franchise now, aren't we?
I
We're
know.
watching all of them.
We're like halfway through Sailing Yacht, and I'm thinking maybe we'll check out that adventure show.
I know, right? I was going to ask that. Is that next? Because we're all in on that franchise here.
I
Yeah.
know. It is like the only reality show we've watched.
Oh
in
gosh.
years.
Yeah. And that's reality show, right? Is that categorized as that?
that's technically reality.
Yeah, okay.
No reality shows like real.
Yeah.
Nobody just sets up a camera and says, "You guys just do your things.
Yeah.
We're just going to videotape it."
Totally.
But we're watching Sailing Yacht, and that that's the usual drama and the beautiful ocean vistas and
Youth. Hooking up with youth.
Yeah, it's amazing. You get on a boat with somebody for 8 hours, and it's just like, well, I'm gonna hump them.
After 3 weeks, I love this person.
Yeah.
And then the next week, I hate this person and I'm stuck on a boat with them.
No, but it's more like, oh, I wonder what private school we're going to send our kids to after 3 weeks. And like you said, then a week later, it's like, this asshole.
Yeah.
We've been together a whole 14 days.
Usually it goes it's the end of the season and I don't know how this is going to work out. We're just going to probably go our separate ways. So it's like, yeah, you had a boatmance.
Yeah. Hashtag boatmance.
Yeah, for 6 weeks.
We brought some levity.
We did.
Sweet. I think that's going to do it.
That'll be it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the Married with Channels podcast. We appreciate you listening. We'll be back next week. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Married W Chans, 2 N's.
Share, tell your friends.
Absolutely subscribe and all that stuff. And until next time, I'm Moose.
And I'm Jody.
We'll see you.
Bye.